Guys, you probably think that the signing of Dylan Cease was already the peak of the offseason. But hold on, Blue Jays Nation, because the chaos is just beginning. Toronto has just finalized a massive 7-year, $210 million contract with one of the best pitchers on the market. And now a new storyline is emerging that could flip the 6-9 upside down. Two trade ideas that could make perfect sense for the Toronto Blue Jays after acquiring Dylan Cease. And this is where the story gets explosive. This move doesn't just reinforce the rotation. It reshapes the entire architecture of the roster and opens a door for bold decisions that could turn this team into a true offensive monster. Hello, Blue Jays Nation. Welcome to Jays Nation News, your destination for everything Toronto Blue Jays. What I'm about to reveal today could completely reshape the path toward the next World Series. And you won't believe the scenarios currently being discussed behind the scenes. So go ahead and smash the like button, drop your boldest prediction, and subscribe so you don't miss a single step of this offseason that is getting out of control. Trade idea number 1. Ketel Marte of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Ketel Marte on the Blue Jays radar. Let me put you inside the scenario as if you were sitting in the front office yourself. Arizona is actively listening to offers, and this isn't hallway talk or off-season gossip. This is direct information. They are actively listening, and there is at least a 50% chance Marte gets moved. When an insider like John Morosi puts that number on the table, it means the door is truly open. And when a star of this caliber becomes available, teams like the Phillies and Blue Jays jump into the conversation immediately, because opportunities like this don't show up every day. Marte is coming off a season in which he recorded 136 hits in 480 at-bats, maintaining a .283 average that any competitive lineup would love to plug into the top or middle of the order. Those 28 home runs, 87 runs scored, and 72 RBIs are not just statistics. They are direct translations of impact, consistency, and the ability to swing entire games. And here's where things become delicate. Bringing Marte to Toronto would practically shut the door on a Bichette extension. This is in theory. It's simply what roster structure would dictate. The only loophole would be if Andres Jimenez were included in the deal, reopening the shortstop position for Bo. And this is where everything changes. Marte isn't just a reliable defender. His real difference maker is a complete package. Hard contact, above average bat speed, a low strikeout rate, and the ability to square up the ball in any situation. Behind the count, with 2 strikes, or with runners in scoring position. He carries enough power to alter the way opposing pitchers approach the entire lineup. And that profile is exactly what the Jays have been pleading for season after season. Someone who blends consistency with impact. And the contract? It runs through 2030. Meaning he wouldn't be a rental, wouldn't be a short-term gamble. He would be a central piece aligned with the championship window Toronto wants to maximize. This puts the front office at a crossroads that is not only technical but philosophical. Does the team want depth? A versatile infield? Someone who immediately elevates the competitive level of the entire lineup? Marte offers all of it in one player. In the optimistic scenario, the Jays assemble a trade package strong enough to outbid the Phillies and other interested teams, ensuring Toronto adds a player who instantly becomes one of the biggest offensive weapons on the roster. This would create a ridiculously strong core next to Vlad Jr., strengthening production in nearly every offensive metric the team has been lacking. In the cautious scenario, however, the price may be so high that it drains depth from critical areas, something Toronto has suffered from in previous seasons. And that's the real dilemma. To bring Marte in, you inevitably have to move important parts of the system. From the front office's perspective, this isn't just a trade. It's a defining moment. Do you keep Bichette and risk losing long-term value? Or bring in Marte and completely redefine the identity of the lineup? This is not just about numbers. It's about choosing what version of the Blue Jays will exist for the next 5 years. If you think the Jays need to go all in for an immediate impact, hit that like button to strengthen the discussion. Trade idea number 2. Steven Kwan of the Cleveland Guardians. Steven Kwan enters the picture, and this move carries a completely different flavor. If Marte would be an aggressive strike in the market, Kwan represents something the Blue Jays value deeply. Organizational intelligence, patient construction, and a natural, seamless fit. The Jays know the Guardians' development system extremely well. Just look at Andres Jimenez and Shane Bieber arriving last year. Both product of consistent discipline, highly efficient philosophy. And now, with the real possibility of Kwan being moved, Toronto suddenly has a chance to build an outfield that borders on ridiculous. Kwan and Varsho covering ground like they're plugged into a power outlet, turning every fly ball into routine. Let me paint this picture with more detail. 170 hits in 625 at-bats, a .272 average, 21 stolen bases, 11 home runs, 81 runs scored, 56 RBIs, and defense that borders on technical perfection. Kwan is the type of player who almost never wastes a swing. His contact is so clean, so disciplined, that he practically forces pitchers to rethink their entire game plan. This is exactly the profile that transforms left field into a restricted zone, and not just because of the glove. It's the constant pressure he applies every single inning. And what came next, nobody expected. While many believe Cleveland will hold on to Kwan for several more years, reports surface suggesting that the Guardians are preparing for the arrival of a new wave of offensive talent. Travis Bazzana and Chase DeLauder in 2026. This shift in the franchise's offensive timeline opens a window for Kwan to become a trade piece. Not due to lack of quality, but because the club plans to reorganize its offense around this new generation. And for Toronto, this fits perfectly with the identity Mark Shapiro has been pursuing in recent years. Elite defense, speed to pressure the bases, high contact ability, and players who remain productive even when the team goes through offensive slumps. Kwan is literally the type of athlete who keeps the machine running without locking up, consistent, smart, and reliable. In the optimistic scenario, Toronto gets the deal done, adds Kwan next to Varsho, and instantly locks in one of the most dominant defensive outfields in all of MLB. This would reduce preventable runs, provide better support for the pitching staff, and sharpen Toronto's defensive planning in tight games. In the cautious scenario, however, the price may require pieces the organization is reluctant to move: strategic prospects, rotation arms, or emerging talents who are part of the medium-term blueprint. And from a front office's perspective, this decision is about far more than adding a good outfielder. It's about aligning timeline, defensive efficiency, and contractual stability within a roster that has already shown real flashes of being a contender, but still needs that one player who ties everything together. If you see Kwan as the missing piece in the outfield, leave your support in the comments. Blue Jays Nation, one episode today. Looking at Marte and Kwan, it's clear that Toronto is standing at an organizational crossroads. Invest in immediate power or double down on defensive identity and contact. Each path reshapes the future, including the futures of Bichette, Vlad, and the entire core built over the last years. Now I want to hear from you. Who makes the most sense for the Jays' future? Ketel Marte, Steven Kwan, or neither? What would you do if you were sitting in the front office chair? Hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell, because this offseason is about to turn everything upside down, and Jays Nation News will be with you at every twist.